Today I am going to explain you about the list of mandatory compliances that any company, it can be a private company or a public company or a producer company or a Nidhi company, whatever type of company it may be, the list of mandatory compliances that it has to follow every year under the Companies Act. Once a very good friend of mine asked me, Pavan, I already have a lot of work to be done in this. Why should I do all these compliances? It's unnecessary, killing my time, and I'm spending a lot of money on this. Is it really mandatory to do all these compliances? My answer to him was very simple. The first one is you're registered under the Companies Act, and since then your entity is bound to obey to the provisions of the Companies Act. Secondary, why is India spending so much on defense? Are we going for war every year? It is to make sure that our country is safe from the outside threat. Similarly, why do you have to invest on compliance part is to make sure that your company is safe from the outside department people from issuing show cause notices to you for non-compliances. Once your company receives a show cause notice from any government department, tomorrow if you're going to a banker for a loan or if you're looking for investors to invest in your company, they will see that okay, this company is not following a proper compliance mechanism, they are not having 100% compliance. It would surely affect your credibility. People will think a lot before giving you a loan or investing in your company. So without complicating much, I would like to explain you the basic mandatory compliances that every company has to follow under the Companies Act in a simple way. First, we'll start with board meetings. Every company has to conduct minimum 4 board meetings in a year. The gap between one board meeting and the other one should not exceed 120 days. Before you conduct a board meeting, a notice calling for the board meeting should be sent to all the directors in person or through electronic mode. And once the meeting is conducted and it is over, you have to record your minutes, whatever you've discussed, and the chairman of that meeting has to sign it, and you have to maintain that minutes book since it acts as a proof that you have conducted board meetings. The second is the annual general meeting. It is mandatory for every company to conduct annual general meetings. If it is a newly incorporated company, you have to conduct your annual general meeting within 9 months from the end of your financial year. The subsequent annual general meeting, the second annual general meeting, the third annual general meeting and subsequent annual general meetings should be conducted within 6 months from the end of the financial year. Same as how we do in board meeting, a notice calling for the annual general meeting should also be circulated to all the members of that company. The notice calling for the annual general meeting should also be circulated to the directors and to the statutory auditor of that company who has audited the financials for that year. Every year, once you conduct your annual general meeting, you have to remember that there are 3 main important filings that you have to do with the Register of Companies. One is Form ADT1, the second is Form AOC4, and the third is Form MGT7. Form ADT1 is an e-form that is filed with the Register of Companies for appointment of statutory auditor. So in which you will be saying that who will be acting as the auditor for the next financial year. Form AOC4 is your financial statement, your balance sheet, your profit and loss account, your cash flow statement, the notes to account, the schedules, the director's report, the notice calling for the AGM. So all these documents you will be submitting with the Registrar of Companies in Form AOC4. MGT7 is your annual return, which also has to be submitted to the Registrar of Companies, which normally is certified by a practicing company secretary. Form ADT1 has to be filed within 15 days from the end of the annual general meeting. Form AOC4 has to be filed within 30 days from the end of the annual general meeting. And Form MGT7 has to be filed within 60 days from the end of the annual general meeting. The minutes of the annual general meeting also should be prepared, and it has to be signed by the chairman of the annual general meeting, and even that has to be maintained because it acts as a proof that you have conducted the annual general meeting. Apart from maintaining the minutes of the board meeting and minutes of the annual general meeting, every company should also maintain few registers. These registers are a register of directors, register of members, register of shareholders, a register of contracts. and there are similar registers that a company has to maintain. So instead of going and buying separate registers, if you go to a law book showroom, they will sell you something called as combined statutory register. A combined statutory register is a register which has all these registers in it. The directors of the company are also supposed to make two mandatory declarations to the company every year. One is Form MBP1 and another one is in Form DIR 8. Form MBP1 is called as disclosure of interest, where the director has to declare his interest in other entities. The time when the director has to submit Form MBP1 is in the first board meeting of each financial year, or when the interest newly arises, or at the time of his appointment. So in all these situations, this particular director has to submit Form MBP1 with the company. The second form that a director has to submit with the company every year is Form DIR 8. The Companies Act prescribes a list of disqualification for every director. And this form DIR 8 is submitted by the director to the company, stating that he is not falling under the disqualification criteria as mentioned in the Companies Act, and hence he can continue as a director of that company. Whatever I've explained so far is mandatory for all type of companies, irrespective you do business that year or you don't do. Once you are registered under the Companies Act and you are in the form of a company, it is mandatory for you to comply with all these provisions every year. Apart from whatever I've explained earlier, the filings that normally you make for amending your articles or amending your memorandum, or when you go for a buyback or make a private placement or any other activity, all these are event based. So a filing which is related to this will be done only when that event occurs. If that event doesn't occur that year, you need not do those filing. So that is the reason that I didn't touch upon those areas. Hope the video was useful for all of you. Leave your comments if there's any below. Thank you.